Talk about being multi-talented. This fighter has accomplished so much inside and outside the octagon. Where to start? MMA fighter, dancer, model, author, cook, pro wrestling fan, and now boxer. And she's only 26. It's amazing, which means there's more in the future. This is former UFC fighter, Chopped cooking champ, Dancing with the Stars runner-up, Nike model, Rise, Surviving the Fight of My Life author, WWE fan, and currently a Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship boxer, Paige VanZant. Thank you, Paige. Hey, you're a Chopped champion, Food Network. So who did the Thanksgiving cooking this year?
Yeah, well, first, that was an amazing introduction, so thank you very much. But actually, both myself and my sister-in-law, we both shared the cooking. I luckily married into a family where pretty much everyone in my husband's family can cook really well. So we both knocked it down, and we had an awesome Thanksgiving.
What is your favorite food to make?
Personally, I really love exploring like ethnic foods, usually really spicy. I like cooking, my husband and I make homemade Thai food where we even get like the roots and we make our own like curry paste from scratch. So we love kind of exploring different ethnic foods and cuisines and trying something at a restaurant and then seeing if we can like replicate it at home.
How important is it for healthy eating, and is that part of the dieting plans because of you and Austin's fighting as well?
Oh, it's a huge part. You know, you see a lot of athletes who are endorsed by like food companies that sponsor them and they provide their meals for them. It's really hard to order food from restaurants or get pre-made meals that you don't really know what's in it. I mean, unless you're ordering from a health conscious and specific website, you don't really know what they put in it. So knowing how to cook, it definitely helps. It saves money. We do a lot of our cooking at home, and I know exactly what's in it. I know how much salt you put, how much fat. Like, you can really make sure you know what you're putting into your body.
Paige, you're amazing. You do so much, have done so much. It's just incredible, I think. And gosh, I'm curious, especially with the cooking and the food aspect, would you ever think about coming up with a food product or opening a restaurant or doing something like that, whether it's opening a restaurant or even just selling something healthy or nutritious or other, and put that product out there on the market?
Absolutely. I would lean more towards putting a cookbook out or having a TV show. I don't know that I necessarily would want to own a restaurant. I know how hard that is, and the restaurant industry is very cutthroat and definitely a difficult industry, but I would love to put out like a cookbook or a cooking channel show. And truly, as much as I love being able to cook healthy food, I would want to show off like the more indulgent things I like to cook. Like, yes, I can cook healthy, but the fun stuff to cook is the fattening cheat meals and the stuff that you really indulge with.
And that's interesting because The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, had mentioned this in the past, that as much training and much conditioning that he would do, he'd always have one day a week where he would call it his cheat day, so he could eat pizza or something else. Do you feel like that's also part of sort of being able to do something along those lines?
Oh, absolutely. And I feel like for me, I don't necessarily have a full cheat day or a cheat weekend. Mine is more like throughout the week, you know, you eat 3 meals a day, you eat 7 times. You know, you have 7 days a week. Here and there, I'll sprinkle in like 3 different meals that are a little bit more lean towards the cheat side. Like, my husband and I love to go out to sushi, and yes, sushi is very healthy, but I will get like fried rolls or something that's a little bit more indulgent. I think to keep your sanity, yeah, it's important to be in shape and, you know, sacrifice and really eat healthy for our job, but to keep sanity, you have to eat something good that makes you feel good every now and then. And we're very strict when it comes to like fight camp. So once it is time for me to start losing weight, then it's extremely strict. But throughout our normal day-to-day lives, we do like to eat some really good food.
Now, you mentioned his sister, your sister-in-law. Does Austin cook too?
He does. Honestly, my husband doesn't talk about it, but he is a very good cook. And if I give him, he's not one like me. I can the ingredients in the fridge, and I can whip together a full meal and have, like, my recipes are in my heart and in my mind. He can follow a recipe perfectly and make something really, really good. And he has a few recipes that he knows by heart that he's really, really good at.
Oh, is there something that he particularly cooks that you're just like, oh, good, tonight, yes?
Yes, so his is actually Sunday mornings when we're not in fight camp. He makes biscuits and gravy, and that's like his family's thing. And there's actually this rivalry between his dad and mom, who are now divorced, but it's a rivalry, a friendly rivalry between who makes the best biscuits and gravy and whose recipe it is. So it's a big deal. But I, like to say my husband makes the best biscuits and gravy, and it's all biscuits and gravy from scratch.
Great. And well played, well played. And then I'll touch about the Christmas or holiday menu. So do you already have plans for the special Christmas holiday menu?
No, so actually I'll be fighting February 5th. So we decided, our family lives, his family all lives in Alaska, mine is in Nevada, so we couldn't really, it was too close to my fight to do anything with family for Christmas or travel. So we got all of that out of the way for Thanksgiving. So luckily my sister-in-law had a tree put up for us, so we kind of got to celebrate both holidays. And for Christmas this year, I will be eating clean, and it'll just be my husband and I.
Now, Chopped on the Food Network, were you a fan of that show prior to that? And what was that whole experience like? It's such a fun show on Food Network.
Yeah, what's funny is people ask me, like, throughout my career, who was, like, the coolest celebrity that I ever met, or the person I was most excited to meet, and not a single one of them was athletes. They were all professional chefs, because truly, cooking is my passion. I love watching competitive cooking, so being a fan of Chopped, I pretty much knew the kitchen by heart. I knew exactly what was going to happen when I was on the show, so it was a dream come true to compete on it, and I was, luckily enough to walk away with a win and meet some awesome chefs who I've honestly looked up to for a really long time.
Oh, have you met Bobby Flay or Emerald? Bam! Or who is a favorite chef that you really enjoyed meeting?
No, I have not met Bobby Flay yet. I got to meet Alex Cornicelli was one of my judges, Scott Conant, who I've actually worked with now twice since then on other cooking projects that we've both been hired for. All of them. Bobby Flay would be a dream to meet. There's Guy Fieri. I would obviously love to meet him. He's made a big, contribution to the restaurant industry during all of COVID and helped donate and help businesses get back on their feet.
Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, one of my favorites. I could just talk food and Chopped on the Food Network, but we'll steer away and sort of move on because there's so much I want to touch and I don't want to keep you too long.
No, my favorite one, I can't believe I didn't even mention this, Robert Irvine.
Oh.
I was so poor with him.
Oh my gosh, and we could even tie that in. Robert Irvine is married to Gail Kim, who works with Impact Wrestling, who used to be a WWE superstar. I didn't know if you knew that part of it as well, and he's great.
I did. He's amazing, and I actually knew the story of how him and his wife met. I already knew she was a wrestler before I went on the USO tour with him, so it was the cool experience to say that I was in Afghanistan making cookies with Robert Irvine.
He is so much in shape, and he's so good at what he does. He's so good on TV. He's so knowledgeable. It's just really something. And yeah, you mentioned that too. Gail Kim and him met during an episode where he was doing one of his shows, like Restaurant Impossible. Not Restaurant Impossible, Mission, something like that. Something Impossible. Dinner Impossible. That's it. Dinner Impossible and all. And WWE was involved, and that's how they met. Such a cool story, Paige.
The coolest story ever. And of course, I already knew everything about all of him and his life before that. So I was one of his little stalkers, but I was such a big fan of him. So yeah, really, really cool experience.
It's so interesting too, and we'll wrap it up with the cooking on this. Other than your husband, obviously, are there other MMA competitors or other athletes that you know who are really good cooks?
Misha Tate is, she's Misha the Cupcake Tate, so I know she does cooking and baking every now and then. I'm sure there is. I know Michelle Watterson was on an episode of Guy's Grocery Game. There's a few of us. I think just because fighters were so used to dieting and restricting appreciate and love it. So that's why a lot of us do love quick cooks, just because we truly just love to eat.
Well, Paige, thank you so much for taking the first part of this to talk about that. I want to get into the dance scene a little bit. Tell me about your dancing background, and I hope I have this correct. Your mom and dad owned a dance studio?
Yes, so my mom and dad owned a dance studio. My mom was a dance teacher her entire life. I mean, still to this day, she could walk in and be an amazing instructor at a dance studio. She, since 2 years old, has been teaching me. So, yeah, I've been dancing my whole life.
Were the goals as a youngster then to be a professional dancer?
They were, truly. And there was a difference, though, between what I was doing and Dancing with the Stars. I have never done ballroom dancing, which is very different. But growing up, I did think I wanted to be a professional dancer and, be a backup dancer for famous singers and make it in LA. But something about that, I loved dancing, but I didn't really want to be the backup. In the dance world, there is a lot that you can do with it, but a lot of times you're just like the backup dancer or you're off to the side a little bit, and I really wanted to be the main event. So I think it was an awesome transition for me, and I was able to learn a lot from dance and really grow. And I still love dancing, but I love that it brought me in, my now career of MMA.
Well, I think what's interesting, too, I think it is more mainstream, if I could use that word, more prevalent if you're a dancer today because of so many different shows like Dancing with the Stars and the next famous dancer, the next big dancer. I don't know the exact name of the show, but there are so many other shows out there where the dancers don't have to be the background, they're the spotlight.
Yep. Yeah, and truly when I switched over to MMA, that wasn't the case. That was like 10 years ago I got into MMA, and dancing still wasn't that big of a deal. But today it's huge and it's amazing, and I feel like social media has helped build that and grow that and show how talented dancers are. And it's true, we have all these reality shows that you can watch now, and even the cheerleading shows. Like in the same breath, there's these amazing cheer shows to show off how talented and athletic cheerleaders are.
Were you a competitive cheerleader?
Not competitive. I cheered my freshman year of high school, and I took gymnastics so I could be good at tumbling, and I was able to incorporate a lot of pretty much my dance skill is what made me good at cheerleading.
Wow, did you watch the Olympics and think, maybe if I did gymnastics, I could pull this off and get to the Olympics?
I truly did. Watching the Olympics, that is the only Olympic sport that I'm addicted to. I love watching all of them, but Olympic gymnastics, I cannot miss it. It's absolutely amazing. The things that those girls do with their bodies, and that would be something. I'm like, okay, that would be cool if I was an Olympic gymnast.
Are you a fan of the movie Dirty Dancing?
I am. I love that show, but growing up, that wasn't my favorite dance show. There was a hip-hop movie called You Got Served. That was the show that I learned how to do a backflip watching.
How about Glee?
Glee, I think Glee was a little bit past, I was a little past that era. I didn't grow up watching Glee as much. Singing wasn't really my jam.
Fame.
Yeah. And same. Yeah, no, singing isn't really my thing.
What changed for you to go from dancing to MMA? You talked a little bit about it. And could dancing, gymnastics, help in MMA at all?
Oh, absolutely. I think there's certain sports that just create a kind of full body awareness and coordination where you're really aware of what your body's doing and you can feel each movement. And I think that's where martial arts and dance really they can run parallel to each other. It's where you really have to be in control of your full body. And when I transitioned over from dance to MMA, I was 15 years old, and my parents and I had just moved from a very small town in Oregon to Reno, Nevada. And my dad, being an MMA and UFC huge fan, knew that there was a really, really famous fighter who I had no idea who he was at the time, but I have the pleasure to say my first ever MMA coach, Ken Shamrock, at the Lions Den in Reno, Nevada, and he's a UFC Hall of Famer. And when I walked into his gym, he was the one who was like, "Hey, kid, you can go far in this. You need to keep at it. And I was like, oh, all right, I will.
That's so amazing, because how many dancers become MMA fighters? And to think about that note as well, you're going from something that is beautiful in its own right, something that's so choreographed, to this all out, I just want to beat the heck out of you competition. You always had that in you?
Yeah, I have always had that in me. So, like, my true friends growing up, like my girlfriend, her name's Colby, she was my maid of honor at my wedding. Growing up with her, she was not surprised at all that I went into MMA. She just knew me in throughout my whole growing up as a dancer and going in MMA. I've always been aggressive. I've always kind of been a fighter. And even though, yeah, dance is beautiful and graceful, but in the same time, it is very aggressive, and you have to attack it, and you have to be very strong and emotionally connected with your body. And so I do think that I hope more dancers, male and female, go from dance to MMA and realize, like, they'd probably be really good at jiu-jitsu or Muay Thai. There's a lot of, like, the same body connect.
And you've done so well so far. It truly is incredible. And I'm going to tie this together, because there's something called the Kevin Bacon game. I don't know if you heard of it, where you just say a person and you could always go back to Kevin Bacon. I'm going to say it for you, because you mentioned Ken Shamrock. Ken Shamrock is also in Impact Wrestling now, like Gail Kim. He was a WWE superstar like Gail Kim, and now you had the Gail Kim Robert Irvine connection. You mentioned Ken Shamrock. It all ties back to Paige.
Absolutely, it totally does.
All right, ABC's Dancing with the Stars. Wow, how much fun was that? And your parents, what did they think of that? And even though you got very far, you finished second place. You should have been the winner, but you finished second place. What was that like?
Yep. Honestly, that was a dream come true. Not that I was a huge Dancing with the Stars fan. I had seen episodes here and there, but the fact that I was able to compete in dance again and reconnect with who I was as a dancer, it was huge. And honestly, for my mom, like, it was a huge, like, break and breath of fresh air, because although she does support me fighting, she cannot watch me fight, and it hurts her to watch me fight and watch me get hit, which totally understandable. So her watching me in, like, dresses and sequins again, she was so happy.
It's interesting, because you said Dad was into MMA and Mom obviously dancing. Was it hard when you started with Mom thinking, oh, my daughter might become a dancer and now she's going to be a fighter?
You know, I think my mom kind of wanted me to reach beyond just being a dancer. I think they both wanted me to kind of go to school. I had gotten an academic scholarship for school, and for my mom, she knew, and my dad, they both kind of knew I was meant for something bigger, and they truly didn't care what that was. It wasn't like they said, hey, we want you to, they weren't one of those, the stage parents that, like, forces you to do something. They were like, hey, you choose what you want to do in life, but you better do it 100%. If whatever you want to do, you need to attack it and be determined and sacrifice for it if you want to be successful. So when I switched from dance, you know, it was a good thing for them, for me to, I came forward and was like, hey, I am burnt out of dance. I don't know that I want to do this anymore. They were like, all right, figure out what you want to do next. And I went into MMA, and of course my dad, being an MMA fan, was super excited, but they've still just kind of had the same mindset of, hey, if you're doing this, you got to go 100% for it.
And 100% you've been going at whatever you've been in. You finished second place in Dancing with the Stars. Your pro dancer was Mark Ballas. I hope I said that right. And you were second place to model Niall DeMarco, who was with PETA. PETA, I watched the show. PETA is excellent. What did you think about the format? Fans vote, but you still have to be good. They have judges that are very knowledgeable. What did you think of the outcome? Was it more for you about winning, or was it just more about the experience, or both?
It was a balance. I mean, truly it was about the experience, but I was lying if I said I didn't still wish I got first place on that. But I understand. Niall, when I watched him, it was the very, very first day of show day. So it was a Monday night, our first show ever, and I watched him dance, and I was like, oh, crap. Like, it's over for me. I knew everybody else was just gunning for second, because, I mean, to think of the powerhouse he is, he had just won America's Next Top Model. He was a very attractive, deaf man who could dance to music and stay on beat. Like, there was no beating him. He was amazing.
Well, you're amazing too, Paige. Don't sell yourself short. It's so cool. All right, so we'll get done with the dance and we'll start to go into the fighting. But with that dance, how do you feel like shows like Dancing with the Stars on ABC, Chopped on Food Network, has helped elevate you into the mainstream?
I truly believe that not only have all these shows helped elevate me to be mainstream, I hope that it's helped bring these people who would have never watched fighting ever see, like, oh, there's this girl who's totally normal, who grew up with a normal childhood and grew up in the country, and, I'm a down-to-earth kind of regular girl, and yet I'm doing this crazy barbaric sport, and I really do hope that it brings people more to MMA and to bare knuckle boxing, and they can see that it's not barbaric, it's not crazy, it's, we're all just athletes and doing what we love.